Hello. Today I am going to go over what is a pose for showing mostly at PKC, but it will also go for if you show at other forums like RKC or other places you will need a pose for. First thing I like to do is make sure I have a nice big area. I usually just do it over here, but if you're new to posing, you might want a bigger area. And I like to start out by giving my dog something to eat. She might not be hungry right now. She just wants to play. I like to check the brain slider. I want them completely full before we start, because if they're not full, they just don't do as well. Some dogs work better when they have less energy. Some do better when they have higher energy, and their fatness should be around 50 to 73 over here. She's only in her 30s, so I might want to fatten her up a little bit before we get started. So I will keep that up. I could just slide the brain slider and do all that stuff. I don't actually have to do it, but I like to do things naturally just because it makes it funner for me. So I'll wait for her to eat. Now I'm just going to toss out some treats to help fatten her up a little bit. This is Phoenix, by the way. If you can, try to have nothing else in the play scene, or if you do, have it be like a pillow or something they're not going to get super distracted by. So now she's at 50%. Remember, when you are going to pose your pet, if you pet them, always pick them up and put them back down. Phoenix is a trotter, so when you pick her up, she is going to plop on the ground like that every time, no matter what you do, unless you do it down here. In case you're new and don't know what a trotter is, excuse my voice. It is when they do this cute trot like this. Not like that. Like that. So, sorry, Phoenix. For trotters and pets that flop to the ground, I mean, I do this with all of my pets, but other people like to pick the dog up. I call it hand stacking and get them aligned and stuff. If you have a new dog that has never been posed before, I like to start them out by just starting to snap pictures of them. I don't care what they're doing or what direction they're in or anything. Just start taking pictures and wait for them to go into a pose. So that is not a real pose. That was a fake pose. We want to wait until she does a real pose. That is also a fake pose. She's not collected and she was looking straight forward, and it just looked funky. That was a fake pose too, so now she's got her butt to me, so I'm just going to have her come this way. So there's another fake pose. She just did it real quick, and she doesn't look collected at all. And her ears look weird. She just looks funky again. So let's keep taking pictures and see if she'll do a real pose for us. That's fake. See how wide her eyes are? That is a fake pose. Some dogs will pose really fast for the camera. Other dogs might take a little bit longer. I haven't done a ton of training with her, which is basically what we're doing right now. So she is pretty slow. And if they start doing weird things, you can always click in front of them to get their attention again. So that's a fake pose. Also a fake pose. It's fake. Come on, Phoenix. There we go. So there is a real pose right there. So during training, I like to pet them a bit and then just toss them another treat. So that's actually a really cute pose. So she's pretty aligned. She's a little bit unaligned, though. You can still see part of her back leg there. You can still see part of her back leg there. She would be in a 3/4 pose. There's 3 different options. There's a dally pose where she'd be looking straight at me, or a profile where she'd be looking straight ahead. This is a 3/4 pose. So I'm going to save that one because it's cute. She got this ball out to play with. And now I'm going to pick her up because I pet her again and unfortunately I have to drop her. The reason I pet, or the reason why I pick them up after petting, is because if you don't, they will go into what you call a skinny pose, where it looks like they're just sucking in really good. Their chest is barely there, and it just doesn't look very flattering at all. It will usually get flagged in shows. So let's do this again. Let's see if we can't get something even better this time. I'm going to call her out from behind the camera because I don't like not being able to see her. So there's a fake pose right there. There's another real pose. So see how she moves her head and she stays in this one spot and she just looks really nice. She's really nice and collected. Her chest is puffed out. If she had more of a tail, it would be curved nicely over her back. Her legs look very nice. She's looking at the camera, so this would be a dally pose. So I saved that one too because I like it. And I will give her a treat. So just so you guys can see, I will see if I'm going to pet her. And then I'm going to see if she'll do a skinny pose so that you guys can see what I'm talking about on why you don't want your dog to do a skinny pose. If you are doing a cat, I don't think cats can do a skinny pose. I could be wrong on that. And cats are usually a lot easier to get to pose than a dog. Maybe I'll do another tutorial on cats here soon. I don't have a cat right now, I just have dogs. What I like to do when I am showing my pets, I like to get at least 5 pose pictures that I like, and then pick the best one from those 5. Sometimes I will just take the first one that they give me to make it a little bit more realistic. You know, if you were to go to a dog show, you only get one chance for your dog to do good, and then hopefully they do better at the next one if they didn't do well. So sometimes I just take the first one that they give me too. I'm going to pet her again because it's been a while and I don't know if she'll still do a skinny pose after being that long. There we go. Alright, so that is a real pose. And she is going to perceive that as what I want. As though her chest is all puffed out, but you see how skinny she is? And her chest would normally come down to here. And she just looks really skinny and very unflattering. It looks like she's hasn't eaten in months. So I'm going to save that too. Maybe just to post it up with my tutorial. I don't know what I'll do with it, but so trying to think if there's anything else. I mean, that pretty much sums up what a real pose is versus the fake poses that they will go into. I'll get another dog out here so that you can kind of get an idea with a dog who actually has a tail. We'll use Tucker, my Sheltie. So again, I'm going to let him eat. I'm going to check his brain slider. He's at only 7 fatness, so we'll need to fatten him up too. Let my pets play a lot while I work on my computer and stuff, so they usually lose a lot of weight. Toss some treats out, fatten him up. So with him, since he's not a trotter and I can actually pick him out without him plopping to the bottom of the screen, I can also show you what I call hand stacking is. What I was doing with Phoenix I call free stacking, where you just call them to your hand, let them follow you around, and they align themselves that way. I usually get better results by doing that versus the hand stacking because when you put them down, they sometimes jump around a lot. Okay, so he's at 45. I'd like him to be closer to 50 or even 65, but so that this video isn't forever, we'll just do that. So hand stacking, you pick them up and you wait for them to be where you need them to be, and then you just start taking pictures. So there is a real pose. He's moving his head around. If you were to look straight forward and give me a really nice profile, I would have taken a picture. or if I had autosave pictures on, I could have taken pictures of each head angle he gave me. So that's a really nice picture of Tucker. The other thing that you want to make sure of when you're doing a pose is you want to catch the highest breathing point. If I were to catch a low breathing point, you see how his tail isn't completely over his back, his chest isn't completely puffed out, his head isn't as high as it should be. So I'm going to save that. I'm going to open it up in here so that you guys can tell the difference. So here's this picture, and this picture, close that. So you see how his tail is nice and curved over his back right there? And it's not here, it's more away from his body. His back is nice and straight, which some dogs will not be nice and straight. It just depends on your breed file. And here you can tell it's going in a little bit. His chest, it's kind of hard to tell on this file, I guess, but his chest is more puffed out in this one than it is this one. And his head is just lower, like I said. Here he just looks really nice and collected. His legs are pretty nice and aligned, and with a Petz file, you're usually going to see a little bit of the back leg. Just depends on the file that you're showing. This one, you can tell he's turned a little bit away from the camera. You can see less of the back legs, but most judges prefer if they're angled in a little bit versus away. So just to try and give you guys an idea of stuff to go for. Sometimes pets will go into an over pose. If I knew how to get them to do it, I could show you, but sometimes it's just like super random. Yeah, it's just they like do a pose, but then they go into a bigger pose, and their body looks really funky, and it doesn't look flattering at all. You want them to look nice. You want them to look the nicest that they can. So anyways, should give you a good idea on how to pose your pets and what the fake poses versus the real poses look like and what you're going for. Hope that helps.